Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 2023 Data Awards Gala, first one since 2019. And just observing the crowd, I think everybody's happy to get back together, so wonderful.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, on behalf of Data's Board of Directors and Executive Team, thank you for sharing in tonight's celebration. It's so good to see so many wonderful people here in the audience back together again, face to face. It's been, 3 years, I believe? People still learning each other's faces. I've seen several people go up to Adam Tuss and ask him who he is. I see John DePasquale from ATCS back in the mezzanine section. John, thanks for dressing up tonight. Appreciate that. Kathy Smith is here. Where's Kathy? She and I think one of the last times we saw each other, we were picking up trash on Stringfellow Road. It was a fantastic experience. Everyone, please keep your trash in your cars. Anyway, welcome. My name is Bill Cutler. I'm a member of Data's Executive Committee, and a few hours a week on my spare time, I'm also the Deputy District Engineer for VDOT's Northern Virginia District. And I know that, thank you so much. Doug, thank you very much, Doug. That was very nice. Northern Virginia for me and for VDOT consists of 4 counties: Arlington, Fairfax, Prince William, and Loudoun. The towns and cities within 2.5 million people live in Northern Virginia, almost 30% of the population of the Commonwealth, and almost 40% of the jobs that are in the Commonwealth of Virginia exist in Northern Virginia. So the impact that each of you is making is quite significant. You can impact the quality of life for millions with the decisions and the actions that you take and the support that you provide an organization like Data and the partnerships that you each have with each other's companies and local governments, state governments, federal governments. Thank you so much for all of the work that each of you do. I have the honor of introducing tonight's keynote speaker, but before that, let me do a quiz. So if you just call out, I want to see if everyone is familiar with how big an area we are in the DMV. Areas are defined by the federal government, metropolitan statistical areas. So I want to talk about that. I want to quiz you all on the top 6 metropolitan statistical areas in the United States of America. So these are centered by a city that is a common name that you would know, but it's really also includes the suburbs and the exurbs. So it's a very broad area. So let's see how we do on the first 3, because the first 3 are really easy, and everybody in this room should get the top 3 metropolitan statistical areas in the United States of America. So number 1 is what? New York. Outstanding. You get an extra dessert tonight, I believe, if we can take care of that. Cutting back. Okay, seatmate. So number 2, Los Angeles. Fantastic. Number 3, Chicago. Okay, so we're rolling now. All right, so let's see how we do on 4, 5, and 6. Anybody want to hazard a guess at number 4? Houston. That's an excellent guess, but that is incorrect. Thank you for participating. I think I heard somebody say Dallas, Fort Worth. It's combined. That is the number 4 largest area. Okay, number 5 has been spoken. Houston, absolutely Houston. And what's number 6? Number 6 is, you're in number 6 right now. The Washington, D.C. area does not include all of Baltimore. Baltimore's later down on the list, but it is a huge area. We're the 6th largest metropolitan area in the United States of America. Of course we've got traffic. Of course we've got issues. We've got a lot of great things in this area, but every other metropolitan area is smaller than us. And one thing I think about when I think about the resources available to the 6th largest metropolitan area in the United States, I wonder, why do we not have a better football team? I do not understand that at all. So we might be ready to make a move on that. We'll see. All right, again, thank you, everyone. I'm not going to be up here all night. We've got some wonderful people that we're going to be, and organizations we're going to be recognizing. But first, I have the distinct honor of introducing tonight's keynote speaker, United States Congressman Gerry Connolly, who is well known to everyone here. I was fortunate to first work with him as a Fairfax County government employee when he was the Providence District Supervisor, and later he was chairman of the board. And the county was recognized nationally as the best managed county. My own experience with him included a significant transportation project in the Merrifield area of Fairfax County, which ultimately allowed for the transformation of that area into the Mosaic District, a vibrant mixed-use pedestrian-oriented community of which we're so hungry for. So we appreciate his work on that. That's just one very simple addition he has helped support. But as Congressman today, he's a senior member of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. He serves as the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Cybersecurity, Information Technology, and Government Innovation. He also serves on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, and he is President Emeritus of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. Even with all this, he brings home the green for Northern Virginia. You know where this is going? He brings home the green for Northern Virginia by securing federal transportation dollars for projects like the Fairfax County Parkway, the Prince William County Parkway, ongoing support for the Rail to Dulles project, and the federal annual commitment for our regional metro system. So I think I've given him enough time to finish his dinner. And I want to thank his staff for writing an even longer bio. But would you all please enthusiastically join me in welcoming Northern Virginia's greatest Irish American, Congressman Gerry Connolly.
You know, when I was Providence Supervisor in the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, my daughter was very young, and I was invited to come and address her 4th grade class. The teacher was teaching them about the differentiation among federal, state, and local government and their respective roles and functions. And I gave a stem winder of a speech to that 4th grade. I talked about the elasticity of demand for taxation. I talked about the Dillon rule versus home rule. I wound up with great panache, and I got very polite applause from that 4th grade. But there was one little girl who did not applaud, and she had her arms akimbo with a scowl on her face. And I went up to look at her, and I said, you didn't like my talk? She said, no, I thought it was boring. And my daughter, to comfort me, came running up and said, oh, Dad, don't listen to her. She just repeats what everyone else says. You get a lot of respect in local government, right, Phyllis? You know, great countries make 3 big investments, all of which have huge returns. And without these 3 investments, you are not a great country, and you will not be competitive as you look to the future. And those 3 investments are education, research and development, and infrastructure. In the Civil War, the American Civil War, the 38th Congress was very visionary. In the midst of the war, of horror that was unspeakable, 650,000 Americans died in the American Civil War. Millions were maimed. It was unheralded horror for our country, and yet that Congress, in doing everything it had to do in managing the war with Abraham Lincoln, had the vision to pass the Homestead Act, had the vision to pass the Land-Grant University Act, had the vision to pass an infrastructure bill, the Transcontinental Railroad. And Abraham Lincoln threw one more thing at it in terms of infrastructure. He insisted that the dome of the Capitol be completed in the war. If you look at a picture of his inauguration in 1861, behind him is scaffolding and an unfinished dome. There is no dome. 4 years later, at his second inauguration, you see the dome completed. He believed that was really important, to see ahead, to see beyond the end of the war, and have a symbol of unity for the country after that war. Vision is what it took. If you look at our own experience with the Silver Line, in 1962, when Dulles Airport opened, somebody wrote a federal paper like spitballing. Like, I don't know, it's probably a crazy idea, but we might want to think about a transit connection between what's designated as the premier international airport of the nation's capital and the nation's capital itself. I don't know. Apparently they did it in Tokyo and London and Rome and Paris. We might want to think about it. We cut the ribbon just a few months ago for phase 2. It took 61 years for an obvious transit investment that should have been made a long time ago. And we had a struggle. I mean, those of us, Jeff was there putting together the tax district. I mean, it was touch and go. And the federal government had decided that it was only going to provide 20% of the funding. We were going to have to figure out the other 80%. Can you imagine Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris saying, well, if you want a transit connection between the airport and Paris, you guys in the local government better figure it out. Because you don't think we're going to do it, do you? But that's what happened. And that's what we had to do. And that's not what great countries do. And so, in the last Congress, we saw vision that is probably the most impressive set of actions by a Congress in at least 50 years. Lots of things got passed, but 3 big bills that matter to us. The Inflation Reduction Act, the largest environmental investment in the history of America. The infrastructure bill, the largest investment in infrastructure in the history of the country, and you'd have to go back to 1956 and the interstate highway system that Dwight D. Eisenhower championed for something comparable in terms of transformation. And of course, the Chip Manufacturing Act, the largest investment by the federal government in technology, R&D, and investment in manufacturing in the history of the country. Those 3 bills are transformative. Those 3 bills will change everything in America. They will provide electric charging stations throughout the country. They will replace every lead pipe so that 10 million Americans who drink water today through lead pipes will no longer have to risk lead poisoning for themselves and their children. 70,000 miles of highways will be retrofitted and rebuilt. Thousands of bridges will be rebuilt. Transit systems and Amtrak will be invested in. Broadband will come to every home and every community in America, connecting America finally. These are important investments that have returns on them. There's a bill right now, unfortunately my friends on the other side of the aisle have introduced, to cut those investments, among others, if you want to raise the debt ceiling. Now, a debt ceiling bill is simply acknowledging bills we've already incurred and that we're going to pay for them. That's all it is. It's not forward-looking. It doesn't say we're going to incur new debt. To jeopardize that bond rating and hold hostage these investments is backward-looking, not forward-looking. And investments have returns on them. Think about the internet. The internet was 100% a federally funded R&D project at DARPA. It started out as an internal defense communication network known as DARPANet. And someone had the idea along the way that maybe it had commercial application, the internet. Whatever it cost the federal government to invest in that R&D to create that mechanism was worth every penny. And none of us can really calculate the return on it. It's probably approaching infinite. The interstate highway system I mentioned, that's a return still giving. The human genome, another 100% funded federal R&D project that will transform medicine in our lifetimes. I hope soon. These are visionary investments our country has always made. And these are visionary investments we must continue to make, because I can assure you the Chinese are. I was in China a few years ago. Everything was new, brand new. Brand new high-speed rail everywhere. Brand new subway systems. Brand new highways and bridges. Brand new airports. Brand new bridges. Brand new port facilities. And I mean, I was drooling as somebody who came from local government and know how we struggle to make things happen. To look at this was amazing. They graduate more engineering students every year at advanced engineering universities than we do. They are pioneering in AI, in cyber, in quantum computing, in 5G. And we have to be up to that task and that challenge. Otherwise, they're going to dominate the next century. And we'll be buying their products under their terms. And that's why I think coming back to the Silver Line was so important. When I first ran for office as Providence Supervisor, I made reviving rail to Dulles my top priority. And everyone thought I was crazy. It was dead. We had tried it. It wasn't going to work. Oh, my God, what are you thinking? And why would you make that your top priority? But from my point of view, connecting Northern Virginia to the core through transit was absolutely critical to our economic future. And it also, in the most important economic corridor we had, Bill said we're number 6 in America as a region. Economically, well, the Dulles corridor, other than the downtown Federal Triangle, is the single most important economic corridor in our whole region. Not investing in that corridor, not connecting it, was myopic at best and self-defeating at worst. And the economic activity that investment has unleashed is extraordinary. Tyson's Corner, give you an example of how transforming it is. Tyson's Corner is as big as my hometown, Boston. And when we began talking about the Silver Line, 17,000 people lived in Tyson's. But 150,000 people commuted every morning at precisely the same time. And 150,000 people went home every evening at precisely the same time. And we were shocked there was congestion in Tyson's. It was not a 24/7 place, and it emptied out at night. We saw an opportunity to transform the largest economic center in the corridor with mixed-use development. There'll be 100,000 people because of Silver Line and the Tyson's plan that went along with it. There'll be 100,000 people living in Tyson's, not 17,000. It will be a 24/7 place. It will be walkable. We're going to build a grid of streets. Environmentally, it's going to be a lot more friendly. Right now, well, when we began the Silver Line, only 20%, for example, of all stormwater in Tyson's was treated at all. When we're finished, 100% will be treated. And that improves the Chesapeake Bay, thank you, and rivers and creeks and so forth. And it will be a green place. And you can see that transformation all up and down the corridor. I cite Tyson's because I represented it so long and still do. And it is absolutely key Tyson's must succeed if Northern Virginia's economy is going to succeed. And so making these investments was important. And what we learned was doing big things is hard. There are all these naysayers. There are all kinds of reasons why you can't do it and shouldn't do it and, would be better served with something else. And it required some vision and political will and stamina. And that's what we need for our country right now. We need to look into the future. In the hymn, America the Beautiful, there's a stanza that says, we need America to look beyond the years. It's hard to find political figures who look beyond the years, because there's no reward for that. To put all of your political capital into a project and you will not be there for the ribbon cutting, is a tough sell. And so it's particularly why I'm so proud of the last Congress, because we were able to do that for the sake of the country. And a lot of us won't be around to see all of the fruits of that, but we know that America will be better off for it. So what we celebrate tonight, I think, is the accomplishments in our region that we've achieved. The fact that we were willing, as a business community, as a political community, as citizens, to actually support that vision with our resources and with our votes. And it is transforming this region, not only to make sure we maintain our place as the sixth most important economic region, but also in terms of the quality of life we're going to pass on to others who will follow us and our children. So be proud of that and continue the good fight. God bless you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Virginia Senator Mark Warner, and I want to welcome you all to the 2023 Dulles Area Transportation Association Awards this year. I'm glad to take a few moments to celebrate some infrastructure accomplishments we have made over the past year, particularly the Silver Line extension, which you all know has been a priority of mine literally going back decades. It took decades of hard work to realize the dream of Metro, the Dulles, Reston Town Center, Herndon, and even into eastern Loudoun County. I can actually remember working on this extension as a member of the Commonwealth Transportation Board back in the early 90s. I can tell you that we've come a long way since then, and thanks to strong partnerships between the federal government, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and local governments. And it's not just Metro riders who are benefiting from our investment. The Silver Line has alleviated road congestion, giving folks a convenient and efficient alternative to get to Dulles. Everybody wins when we build up our infrastructure. And we've seen the impacts across Northern Virginia with other infrastructure projects as well, specifically with the completion of the I-66 Express, which I know personally makes the lives of Nova residents much easier. The new 66 Express lanes were built to handle the movement of goods, services, and people along the entire I-66 corridor outside the Beltway, keeping the region's businesses going by delivering consistent, reliable drive times almost all the time. I'm also thrilled to see the record investments we have made in Nova and throughout the Commonwealth. Now, part of that is thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure bill that I was proud to help negotiate. But I also want to recognize the partnerships that have made these projects a reality through investment and support. Here's to many more years of infrastructure projects throughout our Commonwealth. And thanks to all of you who've been supporters of this literally for decades.
Hey everybody, Senator Tim Kaine here. As you gather together for the 2023 Awards Gala, I wanted to take the opportunity to join the Dulles Area Transportation Association in celebrating the success of several significant infrastructure projects in Northern Virginia. I'm so pleased that you're reflecting on the successful push to complete the I-66 Express lanes and the Silver Line on Metro. These are two projects that I've been honored to work on since my time as Lieutenant Governor up to the present day as your United States Senator. It was truly special to see so many of you last November at the ribbon cutting for Silver Line Phase 2 at Dulles Airport. That day was one of the best days of my public service career, and it was the culmination of a lot of very, very difficult shared work. These projects help to unleash the full economic potential of the region. Not only do I-66 and the Silver Line complement the critical asset that is Dulles Airport, this infrastructure delivers new jobs while allowing Virginians to more easily get to medical appointments, school, work, and access all kinds of entertainment and other assets that make the Northern Virginia region such an attractive place to work and to thrive. As you celebrate, know that you can be proud of your accomplishments. The Dulles Area Transportation Association has been absolutely key in coming up with the vision and then staying at it with elected officials, pushing, encouraging, cajoling, until we put together the very, very complex set of projects that you're celebrating today. So I thank you for your role, and to everyone involved. You've done a great job, a hard job, to improve our infrastructure and improve the quality of life for Virginians and visitors from all over the world. And these are accomplishments that will produce benefits for many, many decades to come. Thanks so much.
And thank you again to Senator Kaine and Senator Warner and Kaine for their important messages specific to this group tonight, and their support of DATA and the work that DATA does and all of DATA's partners. So again, thank you so much, and congratulations to those who are about to be recognized. We're going to get on to the awards now, and Adam Tuss, that's the guy that's sitting at the table. You'll recognize him a little bit later since I've said his name a few times. He's going to MC the award program, and we're very appreciative of that. Now, Adam is known for his News 4 transportation reporting. That's a television station. That's a local TV station, News 4. And something on a 4 in the number on your cable box. And he also anchors the Sunday edition of News 4 Today. So that is very impressive. Now, I had not seen, Adam and I have occasional events together, friendly events together. But I had not seen him with the pandemic and everything. I had not seen him for several years. And, you know, I just, Kathy Smith and I, some others, we just celebrated the groundbreaking event of Route 29 widening between Centerville and the Fairfax County Parkway. So we just had that event. And when it was over, there was Adam Tuss kind of walking over to me saying, "Hey, Bill, I'd like to have an on-camera interview with you. Can we do that?" And I said, well, sure, Adam, sure. And as we walked toward the cameraman with the tripod, you know, where they were all ready, I said to him, well, you know, I'm not actually the project manager. I don't know all the project details. So I'm kind of more of a. And he said, "Oh no, Bill, we're just having a conversation. It's just a conversation." And so I felt relaxed as we were going to have a conversation. That was very soothing to me. And now I don't know exactly the words that Adam said, but here's at least what my brain heard. And remember, he's got the microphone in his hand, and he's 3 years seems like a very long time to build this project. Can't you build it faster? Now, in my head, I started to make this sound of fuck. And, maybe I was thinking funny, you should ask that, or fudge, or father mucker, or something. But what I said was, but all of that was in my head in a millisecond. There was not a moment to spare. And I said, yes, we can, if we can close down Route 29. But we know we can't close down Route 29. And then I gave him a story which I'm going to relate to the room that we're in today, because he actually played essentially a version of what I'm about to say. He used that. And that is, here we are in this wonderful room with 181 or so people, plus staff, and we're having this wonderful event. Now imagine if right now, at the very same time, while you continue to have the wonderful evening, we're going to replace the wall-to-wall carpeting in this room. They're going to replace. It's happening right now. It's happening right now. Hey, pick up your feet there. Pick up your feet. Come on. Okay, and it's just going to happen. Now, imagine what it would be like to replace the wall-to-wall carpeting with an empty room. And that is the difference between, that's the issue we have with transportation projects, is that we have to build things while people are still using them. While we've got 20,000 users, 50,000, 100, 200,000 people are still using these facilities, and we're building some pretty complex projects. So that was your answer, Adam.
That's too long.
And he played that. That version was too long. I had a much shorter version in my stage. I want to now introduce him seriously. Let me find those notes. It says here that I really do appreciate Adam and the press for challenging us to do better in service to our community, and also for getting the word out on our community success stories. And that's what tonight is about, is a lot of community success stories. And we appreciate truly people like Adam and the media that help us get those words out, because it's important for people to see the good that is happening. And we're going to hear more about those good things tonight. So please join me in welcoming Edward R. Murrow Award-winning and Emmy Award-winning journalist, Adam Tuss.
He had this look in his eye when I asked him that question, like he wanted to just stick it to me, but it was good. And I did use that soundbite. I love that soundbite. Let me start by saying it is great to be here with Data. Thank you so much for everyone for asking me to come back and do this. It is so great to be in a room full of fellow journalists as well. Raise your hand, journalists. Oh, no, there are no journalists in this room. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see everybody out here today. Yeah, we are here to give out some great awards tonight. That's what I get to do. Bill has the hard job. I just get to give out awards. And I can say for myself, as someone who has covered transportation in this area since 2003, finally, y'all finally got it done. Thank you very much. Because then I don't have to call you, and I don't have to put the camera in front of your face. And also, I project, so I'm sorry. My wife says I'm very loud all the time, so if I seem very loud, I project. That's what I do. All right, we're going to start with a couple of big mega projects in our region, and this has just been, wow, what a year it has been for transportation the last couple of months. Things that have just been transformative here in our region. We're going to start with the Silver Line. Let's give a big round of applause. I guess I should say the second phase of the Silver Line. I see Scott York. He was here today. There he is, over there. I remember being at the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors when y'all decided that you wanted Metro to come to Loudoun County, and you made that vote. So it's amazing to be here all these years later, seeing it completed and in its fashion that it is now, and it's just going to grow. It's going to be such a great project. Completed in November of 2022, 6 new stations. It's the final phase of this 23-mile expansion, right? Goes straight from Falls Church through Tyson's Corner out to Reston, Dulles International Airport, Loudoun County. A huge connection point, obviously massive for transportation around here. For anyone who has ever wanted to take a train, you heard Congressman Connolly talking about that. Take a train to the airport. This is transformative, and really just for the entire region. Everyone I talked to about it is excited about it, and I have yet to do really like a bad piece on it, Jack. So, you know, it's working. So so far, so good. Keep it up. It has eased traffic congestion. We hope it eases it more. We hope that it is transformative for Tyson's Corner. It is everything that we thought it was going to be, and we're so happy that it has gotten to this final stage of completion, and it looks great, and I've ridden it a number of times, and I love it. So let's watch a short video on the Silver Line extension. You know, transportation planners will tell you that you don't build projects for what's going to happen the day that it opens. You also build it for what's going to happen years in the future. And what has already happened around it is incredible. And to see what's going to happen around it in the future for my kids, for everyone who's going to live here, is going to be great. So let's give the recognition out. I don't believe the general manager of Metro is here, Randy Clark, but a representative from Metro is here. We do want to welcome Jack Potter as well, of course, president and CEO of MWA, and Joe Abaddon from Clark Construction, representing Capital Rail constructors to accept these awards. Guys, do you want to come up? Before we let Jack get off the stage, we do have a very special person in the room, Miss Marcia McAllister. Marcia, where are you? Yes. We're going to bring Marcia up because Marcia's retirement is coming up. And she has been instrumental, not just in this project, but for me individually on this project. This is the person that I called, without a doubt, the most and gave me the most information about this project. Marcia, thank you so much. Yes. Jack, do you want to say a word first, or do you want to have Marcia come up?
Well, let me begin by just saying thank you to everybody at Data for all your support. I wish Congressman Connolly was here, because it's visionaries like him, the senators that you saw earlier, the folks back 60 years ago who thought about this project. You know, they set the path. We carried the ball across the line. But it's people like Marcia who were there the entire way, helping facilitate that, whether it was as a reporter or later on working for MWA and helping Adam tell the story, and he did get it right most of the time. Let's introduce Kate Hanley, or should she just talk a little bit about Marcia? Kate, we all know Kate and her leadership at Fairfax County, so.
Hello there. I'm the ghost of Christmas past on these, or actually the days before Adam Tuss is how we put it, from the last century when we were thinking about this project. And I was on all those things, the Board of Supervisors from Providence District, where Tyson's is, chairman of the board, Metro for 15 years, and I figured out that we had to get rail to Dulles through Tyson's for the importance of the region. Now, back in those days, there were reporters that actually came to meetings and covered us, lots of them. And they ask us tough questions, as you've heard from VDOT, and they ask all kinds of things that sometimes were outrageous. But there was one reporter who drove me nuts. She knew everything there was to know, much more than I did, about development and transportation in the region. And she asked the hard questions, and I knew that I needed to know the answers for the hard questions. And so when it got to be the time that I was, I guess by that time, on the Commonwealth Transportation Board, and we'd done the EIS. All of you remember EISs and all those public meetings, and Marcia McAllister was there asking all these impossible questions. So when it got time for us to do that and move rail forward and use our best efforts to be sure the public was on board, I thought, who in the world can we have do this that will be sure the public understands what we're doing? And that answer came to me very quickly, Marcia McAllister. And so Marcia has been working on this project for 18 years now. I was much younger then, and I was actually not retired then. And so she came to us, I called her up, and she'll probably tell this story, don't believe a word of it. And she came to us and helped us be sure that the public and the press understood what this project was to be and what it was to do for the region. And so I guess it's my turn to introduce to you our award. What are we doing here? Am I supposed to? This is Marcia. Yes. Marcia McAllister. We're going to present her. If you can't see that, it's a picture of the station at Dulles. Imagine that. And now she's going to tell you the real story.
Well, let me tell you, I was relaxing in an office in Reston about 2 weeks after having won a Virginia Press Association award for in-depth reporting in the state, and the subject matter had been the Dulles Rail project. And I was thinking what I was going to do next. Well, got this phone call, sort of from this ghostly-like character who calls and she wanted to meet for drinks, or she wanted to meet for food. I can't exactly remember her coffee, but it was about, it was about 7:30 at night though in town center. So anyway, I ambled over there, and I thought she was going to yell and scream at me because people like Gerry and people like Kate had yelled and screamed at me a lot over the years. I'd been a reporter in in Atlanta for many a year, but a reporter here for long enough to make some enemies along the way. But along the way, I had met some really good people, and I want to point out a couple of those in just a minute. But we talked, and I thought, what, she really is going to yell at me? I thought she was going to really scream. But she said, we need somebody who knows the community. And I can guarantee you now, 18 years later, that my years as a reporter in local and regional journalism laid the path for me to be able to have done it. No way I would have ever been able to do it had I not had that community involvement behind me, and been on first-name basis with people like Jim Todd and Reston and Till Hazel, who was not a big fan of this project, but he was a huge fan of development and understood what happened to him. And Jim Todd, those are very, very special people that were all involved in the Reston Tysons. I also remember the day the Galleria finally got around to opening in Tysons, and they couldn't open that day because the fire marshal said this place wasn't safe. And at that point, I had some county officials not too happy with me, and the fire folks who chased me out of. I'd already knew how to get in and out of the mall at that time for the day, so I was inside when this was happening. But this project has been wonderful to work on. I had told my late husband at one point I was probably going to stay in the journalism business, even as it was dwindling and dying to everybody's dismay, or should have been more dismay at that time than it is even now. That I didn't want to do anything else unless I got to work for the Nationals, or if Rail to Dulles ever started, that would be it. Well, as an old Atlanta Braves fan, I guess it was good that that didn't happen. But I agreed after some cajoling by several people besides Kate and former supervisor Kathy Hudgens, some people like Ken Plum, things like that. And I decided, okay, we'll do that. And it has been, soon after that, I'll have to tell you, there are a lot of unexpected things, including where the Loudon people, there was a giant pink pig that showed up opposing us at public meeting after public meeting. Yes, I know some of you will remember that. Pretty soon after that, we found ourselves protecting bats that were going to be extinct, and having a reporter confrontation with one of a senior project manager that almost blew up in our faces for a nasty story, but we came through that too. And then I think one of the biggest challenges right away was I had this horde of engineers everywhere. Everybody on this project is an engineer, except a couple of us at that point in time. And do you think engineers and journalists who try to talk to people where they can understand it could actually understand a lot of what we were doing? No way. But I think there's an individual here tonight named Stephen Varna who was really, really instrumental in helping me understand them and helping them understand, and our senior management understand, that the reporters that would be covering us were not out to eat us. They were not out to kill the project. They were not out to find fault every minute. They were out to find out what they had the absolute right to know and what the people of Northern Virginia had to know about this project. And once we got that settled as the way we were going to operate, the hundreds and hundreds of meetings we had with different groups. I really need to thank a company that I wish their representative was here, Commonwealth Consultants, which is headed by Bruce McLeod, which some of you know well, has been with us for the 18 years we've been on the project. I have a former employee of theirs who was with us the first year of when construction started, that's here today. Jessica, I'm going to wave at you and embarrass you. But over the years, they were great, and I just have to thank everybody. I especially thank Jack, where are you? Because you really did take it to heart when we were struggling with how did we really start to deal, what did the press really have the right to know? But he was always right there saying the truth. Because, if you don't tell the truth, the press will get to you. That is true, and that was the only thing they should have. I did want to compliment one other reporter that Adam was awesome on this project. Adam Awesome. I think it was Adam who once showed up when the police were called to a strip shop kind of place on Route 7. on Route 7 when they were claiming that the rail project was putting them out of business. And a reporter was there, thanks to the Fairfax County cop that at that point tried to explain to the owner that no, it's the internet you're trying to go after, not the rail project. It has been a great time, but in addition to Adam, who I think really understood the project because he read everything, he showed up at everything, but so did one other reporter that I'd like to point out, and that's Laurie Aratani of the Washington Post. She is diligent, and she's very, very diligent, and over the years, she really tried to go behind the scenes and spread the word out. But it's been great. Kate.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go.
Thanks, it's all your fault. But I also have to thank David Mold, who is the Chief of Communications for the Airports Authority. He runs a great shop. He really does. Thank you, David.
All right, Marcia, I'll be calling you tomorrow for a story that I'm working on. Marcia was always the best. I always love talking to Marcia. It's going to be sad to see people go. Let me just tell you, as a reporter, all we ever want is for someone to pick up the phone and call us back and say, yeah, I'm working on it, or give us an answer. And there are few people who are better at that than Marcia. She's just so good, and it's going to be a shame to not be able to call her up. But thank you for everything, Marcia. All right, moving on. I remember the groundbreaking. I'm going to do a lot of I remembers up here today. I remember the groundbreaking for the I-66 express lanes, where we turned the dirt and we were way out on 66. And I did a live report about the project later on that day for News 4. And it was Doreen Gensler, for those of you who watched Channel 4. Doreen Gensler, she's amazing, amazing person, just as nice as you see on TV, said to me, so how long is this going to take? And I said, it's going to be about 4 or 5 years, Doreen. And she was just this pause, and she was just like, ugh. Okay. Well, guess what? It's done. It's finished. The I-66 express lanes are finished. They opened ahead of time. I mean, come on. That's an accomplishment in of itself. November 2022, 22.5 miles of express lanes from the Beltway all the way out to Gainesville. This is a total game changer, obviously, for anyone who's been on the 66 corridor. A really well-executed public-private partnership between VDOT, DPRT, and I-66 Express Lanes Mobility Partners. This is one that really went smoothly from a reporting standpoint. I'm just going to give you my perspective on this. Got done. Got paved, opened early. Let's watch a little video on it.
We're celebrating today the grand opening of the new express lanes on Interstate 66 outside the Beltway.
Today's event celebrates the delivery of one of the largest mega projects in the United States of America. as well as in Virginia. The 66 Express Lanes project is a public-private partnership between the Commonwealth and I-66 Express Mobility Partners.
Today we celebrate the opening of 22.5 miles of the highly anticipated new express lanes on Interstate 66, one of the busiest corridors in America. How about that for a needed project?
If you are a toll road user, this is a great project. If you are a transit rider, think about the time savings you're going to get. Think about the new routes that this project is paid for. If you're a bicyclist or pedestrian, there's infrastructure, major infrastructure in this project that likely would not have happened without it.
This is a change of our quality of life. This makes a difference in every day because we are getting home to our families quicker or getting places quicker. So it's not just about engineering and building, it's really about community.
This project includes multimodal features such as new park and ride facilities at 3 new commuter lots, direct connections to ped and bike facilities along the corridor, and also, as was mentioned, a reserved space for future transit needs.
The work that the men and women who are on this job day in and day out have done. You've met every deadline, you've met milestones, sometimes with the most extraordinary circumstances, including a pandemic.
I'm very honored to be this morning with you for the opening of this world-class infrastructure project. I believe it can serve as a model for the rest of the U.S. and most of the world.
Well, I talked to this person from VDOT so much, I say that we should have a weekly show. So inviting to the stage Susan Shaw.
Very quickly, it feels very awkward to be up here by myself because I can tell you I did not do this project by myself. What does it take to do a $3.7 billion project on time, actually early, and on budget? Over 60 new bridges, 12 interchanges. We completely reconstructed the pavement on 66 while the traffic was moving on it. 3 million tons of asphalt. That's a lot of asphalt. So what does it take? Vision, we've talked about that. Partnership with our public and regional organizations, and you saw them speaking. It took all of that support, as well as our key stakeholders. But it also took a solid private partnership. And I'm going to ask some people to stand up. I'll make this short, but once you're standing up, I'd like you to stay standing up. Express Mobility Partners, our private partner, who actually brought a $500 million check to the table at that groundbreaking that's been used for other projects in the corridor and also has delivered this project. So we have Luis Vasquez is here, Steve Hankins, Nancy Smith, and there's some others at the table. If you're with Express Mobility Partners, please stand up. FAM Construction, our design builder, which is Ferrovial and Alan Myers, so thank you all for being here. I know Pablo Moya and Yvonne Sayer couldn't be here tonight. On the peak of construction, 2,000 workers a day out on that corridor with all the traffic. And our disadvantaged business enterprise and SWAM total $581 million. That's the largest ever. So just really amazing. And then our little section in our mega projects, we're 14 people. So we have a huge consultant group that's supporting us. I'd like to recognize them. We have Kimley Horn. If you're from Kimley Horn, I know Rob Prunty, John Martin, but the rest of your team. Jacobs Engineering. I think I saw Steve Norford and some of their team. Please stand up. ATCS, John D. Pasquale, Ho Chang, Bruce Barnett, all of that team. And then my little VDOT team, Charlie Warrich, my right-hand guy, Michelle Holland, our communications person. And then I'm going to recognize my former boss, Renee Hamilton, who wears a different hat now, but hey. And then I wanted to mention Fatima Aladus is not here. She's retiring here at the end of the year, but she did our travel demand management and working with all of our local agencies to try to work in this corridor. It's a multimodal project, and we have made a huge investment in future transit in that corridor because we have kept space in the middle for future potentially metro expansion or rail expansion in that corridor. Huge investment in there. And, the express lanes themselves are providing that space now where bus service is running in that corridor. And so what a great, I hate that. Is it a transit project or is it a highway project? This project really is all of that. We're getting ready to celebrate the opening of our first our first trail segment, May 17th. So hopefully some of you can come out for that. We're really excited. 11 new miles of trail in that corridor that previously did not exist. Great new east-west connection in there. So really a lot of accomplishment, and thanks to all of you in the room that have helped support the project. So thank you.
All right, let me write that down. Susan Shaw says potential metro expansion with the I-66. It's in the documents. Okay, thank you, Susan. We'll talk about this next week. Okay, now we will recognize several significant milestone anniversaries, right? So those are two of the huge transportation projects that obviously just came online. There are some that we've had around here and have been doing a really good job for a long time. These transportation-oriented projects and programs that we're going to recognize have had a significant impact on keeping Northern Virginia's economy robust and growing while helping maintain a high quality of life for its residents. And the first one, I can remember doing a live report the day that these lanes opened, and my photographer was in the back seat of a car, and I was in the front seat turning around. I had a driver, and we were driving these lanes, and everybody back at the station thought it was the coolest thing in the world because before that time, you couldn't really do live shots that way, and we were doing this through like cellular technology. So thanks for helping advance my career as well. We're talking about, of course, the 10th anniversary of the 495 express lanes. Been a huge project. 14 miles from Springfield to the Dulles Toll Road opened first November 2012. The first fully dynamic toll lane facility in the region, which I'm told we have a lot of those now. So that was the first one there. Provides reliable daily trips to about 97,000 toll-paying drivers. And to come up to the stage here and talk a little bit about it, my friend Amanda Baxter, the Vice President with Transurban, to accept this award.
Well, first, thank you to everyone in this room. I really am accepting this award, similar to Susan, really on behalf of the region. I think a lot of people I see in this room have worked on this project, have driven on this project, and it's really great to be part of a business that pioneered express lanes in this region, only to see them growing and taking up, saving us more time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So these express lanes, as you know, it takes a lot with the political leadership to get these things done. It was a little bit of a burn about the trees bill, and we're going to talk about that later on Project Next, but we're working on it. But for more than 10 years now, we have been delivering safe, fast travel in the region. Since we've opened the express lanes, we've supported roughly 10 million customers, saving more than 33 million hours of travel time. And this is one thing I think this region really likes, is the fact that the HOV and the transit has grown about 105% just on the 495 express lanes network. So that's extraordinary, and we only are going to see that becoming more robust with 66 express lanes connecting into our network. So the last 10 years of express lanes, we won't stop here. I think that this region has more express lanes in their future. We're excited to have the great partnership in this region and share this with everyone. We're on the ground floor at Transurban of research. We are working on connected autonomous vehicles. I mean, and I think our partners at 66 Mobility Express will say this, these projects are going to be around for a very long time. How we're driving these lanes today won't be how we're driving them for 20 years. I'm not going to use the Secretary's flying car speech here tonight. That's for him. But we're really leading research along with looking to future-proof these lanes. Also looking for abilities to look at road user charging and really leading the way there. So listen, we're really happy to be here, accept this 10-year award tonight in recognition, and we're looking forward to the next 10 years and roughly till 2087. So thank you all.
All right, next up, a very important organization for everybody around here and also for reporters, the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, an organization that I've dealt with quite a lot. For the past 20 years, the authority has played a major role in advancing regionally significant multimodal transportation projects for Northern Virginia's transportation network, of course. A lot going on with this agency. They seem to be at every ribbon cutting, everything going on. I see Monica everywhere. And to the stage, we would like to invite Ms. Phyllis Randall, Chair of the NVTA, and Monica Backman, CEO of the NVTA.
Well, I would be really brief. First of all, I want to first thank my husband because this is date night. And, and if you're a local elected official, this is what date night looks like. So I love you, honey. Thank you for coming with me. There are so many people in NVTA over the past 20 years. It seems funny to stand up here without Marty Noe in the room, for one. My predecessor, Mr. York, as well. You know, NVTA has done so much work in the transportation space, and I think it's really important to know that we talk about NVTA as you know, congestion relief relative to cost, but NVTA is also really focused on multimodal transportation options, and we've talked a lot tonight about the Silver Line to Dallas, which is in Loudoun County, Virginia, by the way. I think we've put about $280 million into Metro from NVTA, and so we really are very multimodal focused. This past couple of years, we also established some core values in NVTA. They are equity, sustainability, and safety, so it's really important to do that. We just passed a $65 million program, program. And I want to actually say, especially, one, NVTA staff is just really the best transportation staff around, I believe. And I really have to give a lot of credit to Monica Backman, who has been, yes, please. Monica leads this organization with aplomb and grace. She, you know, it's one thing to lead an organization. It's another thing to lead an organization of elected officials. And it's another thing altogether to lead an organization where every elected official is a chief elected official. And so she does that very well. But she's also been the foremost leading voice in the Northern Virginia area to talk about transportation technology. We have really leaned into what we know will be here in the future and getting infrastructure in place for the cars that are and vehicles that will be coming, and not just the ones that are here now. And so we're doing some very, very heavy lifting and great work at NVTA. I also want to remind everybody that we do have on June 8th our anniversary coming up. And if you haven't got an invitation already, you are invited to come. Although we want people there in person. We're not taking any of these videos from Mark Warner and Tim Kaine. We want them actually there in the room in person. So thank you all very much on behalf of everybody at NVTA. We appreciate you.
All right, moving right along. Finally, we are going to talk about the 28-year anniversary of the Dulles Greenway. 28 years. 14 miles, privately owned toll road. It's been a leading example of trends toward privatization of public facilities, not only here in our region, but really around the country. And this has been one of those stories where you can see how kind of public-private partnerships can work. The public and private sectors can kind of work together to figure some things out. The Dulles Greenway obviously has saved a lot of people a lot of time over the years. And to the stage now, we would like to invite Renee Hamilton, the CEO of the Dulles Greenway, to accept this award.
As Susan mentioned, before joining the Greenway 3 years ago, I enjoyed a very rewarding career with Virginia Department of Transportation, and many of the projects that you've heard tonight, I've actually played a role in them, so therefore I'm not going to tell you my age, but it's been a long time in the transportation industry. The Dulles Greenway has been at the forefront of transportation in this region, and it is truly the model for public-private partnership within Northern Virginia. We were one of the first private roadways since 1816 in Virginia. And so, although I cannot take credit for that, I have an amazing staff that has welcomed me, and I would like you to stand, team that basically has been on with the Greenway, many of them since the conception of the Greenway, so 28 years. So I would like to recognize them. We've definitely played a pivotal role in the region, and we will continue to do that. One of the things that we are truly engaged in is working with the community. This Saturday, and a shameless plug, we will have our 3rd annual Run the Greenway race, and we have, thank you, enlisted 17 amazing charities from Loudoun County. You still have time to sign up until midnight tomorrow night and to donate to those charities. They do an amazing job for the community. We're just doing a small part by basically having the race on our roadway, but we do ask that you look at that and please attend if you can. One of the other things that we're doing in the community is working with our school system and just giving back from an environmental standpoint. If you haven't checked out our Eagle Cam yet with our 3 baby eaglets, please do that. Sometimes roadway is not about moving people, it's about moving a community. And so that's what the Greenway is all about. We're looking at moving the community and giving back to the community. So thank you.
I love that line, Renee, moving a community, absolutely. Well, here's the really good news. I am done. So you don't have to listen to my dad jokes anymore. I'd like to bring up to the stage now Guy Gravitt to present this next award.
I've had the pleasure of knowing the next award recipient for over 30 years. When Hal Launders met a young and up-and-coming lawyer in the Dulles community, he knew he wanted him on his team. Jeff Fairfield was smart, civic-minded, had a strong faith, and a tremendous work ethic. What has he become since then? Well, old. But this man has a lot of energy. At my age, he rode his bicycle across the country, from back tire touching the Atlantic Ocean to front tire touching the Pacific. He was instrumental in making Phase 2 of the Silver Line a reality while he helped transform Ruth and Hal's Arrowhead Farm into Arrowbrook Center. He was the man responsible for the building of Arrowbrook Park and Innovation Trail, while navigating and coordinating with Fairfax County for approvals for Metro Park, developed by Pulte, Innovation at Arrowbrook Center, developed by SCG. Due in large part to Jeff Fairfield and the foresight of the trustees of the Ruth and Hal Launders Charitable Trust, they own and are currently leasing 36,000 square feet of prime retail at the base of the Ovation building. The trust still owns 5 acres of land free and clear due to their stewardship. Now, this is just not any 5 acres. Ruth was a farmer, so she loved every acre the same. more land for her to graze or Aberdeen Angus. But Hal was a real estate man. And Hal really liked that frontage along the Dulles Access Area Road. He and his friend, my mentor, Berlin Smith, would marvel at the show window that this direct access to Dulles International Airport created for the top corporations of the world. Hal and Ruth knew when they established the Ruth and Hal Launders Charitable Trust that they had the right man to lead their vision into an unknown future. I am proud to know him, proud to work with him, and I know that some of his most creative and community-minded ideals are yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Britton.
Okay, I only have about a 20-minute speech. No, first of all, Guy is, fortunately, Guy and I met probably about 1988, 89, Committee for Dulles Lunch, and that was one of the most fortunate events of my life, meeting him, because he's taught me so much and showed me so much insight, not only on real estate, but just on life. But what we didn't mention is, what I was just given is the Sid Steele Award, which is an award that Data has given for years and years and years, and Sid Steele was the founder of Data. I'm old enough to have known Sid Steele. And a little known fact, in 1988, Sid wanted to form this Transportation Management Association, so he called Hal Launders. He said, Hal, I need a lawyer to form this corporation. And of course, Hal Launders called Jeff Fairfield and said, well, of course, this is pro bono. Now, for you non-lawyers, that means no fee. So I signed the Articles of Incorporation for Data and got the charter, and all I can say is life is a circle, comes around. But it's good to be here, 2023. Hopefully last year as chair. And thank you very much.
Jeff, it's been a pleasure, the last 4 years. So I appreciate your help steadying the ship during the pandemic, and it's been a great ride. We're going to miss you. We're getting close to the finish line, believe it or not. We do have one more special award. We want to recognize somebody who's spent more than 20 years, as we've been told, either a thorn in your rear or an advocate for transportation in the DMV. Adam Tuss has been a great advocate of Data for many years, and we think that his coverage of transportation in the region has been exemplary. So we would like to recognize Adam for his efforts.
Yeah, can we hear it for Adam Tuss one more time? Thank you, Adam. Thank you. Really do appreciate all the good things that you do and the challenges you give us, and helping us to do better. So thank you, and thank you for getting the word out on the celebrations, the positive things that people do in society to make it even better. Thank you. So I also want to thank Data's board of directors and Data's fantastic staff who care a lot about our community and work hard toward that. And thank you all as we continue to work together to improve the lives of so many and work in the spirit of mobility for all.
From the very beginning, the strength of the organization was volunteers who were giving their time and energy to make the airport all that it could be.
For 55 years, we've been advocates for transportation infrastructure for the airport and the region.
I have an article that's in the memoirs of Hal Launders, and it says rail to Dulles in '72, believe it or not. Look how long it's taken.
it wasn't just the federal funds that were involved, local funds had to be involved. So it was a question of how was Fairfax and eventually Loudoun going to pay their share.
The landowners around Tyson's Corner finally realized that they needed rail through Tyson's.
And they came up with a special tax district for all the businesses that owned property along where the rail was going to be.
That concept went on to phase 2 of Dulles Rail with the Dulles Corridor tax district.
We worked with other organizations to encourage continued support from the business community and the state of Virginia in their participation.
We spent time in Richmond lobbying for what we were trying to accomplish. We did position papers on local and statewide issues and testified before local and state agencies and the legislature.
Going down to Congress and meeting with congressmen and women down there to try to make sure that they heard our voices and knew how important this was.
The Committee for Dulles has become an important part of the community. Elected officials rely on us, the public relies on us. We're able to see issues and educate people about land use decisions, economic development, and other growth potentials for the airport, which are going to benefit all of us.
Well, it's been a terrifically consistent in its advocacy over time, supporting both the airport, rail access, road access to the airport, the growth of cargo traffic, and the growth of passenger traffic.
During my term, they were just beginning or just in the middle of construction for the phase 1 of the interchange project on Route 28. That's something to celebrate. We worked on that for years. Now that project is complete.
We worked very closely with the Smithsonian to try to do whatever we could to ensure that the Air and Space Museum become located in the Dulles Corridor.
The official announcement of the building of the Air and Space Museum was done in May of 1999 by Admiral Ingen, the head of the Air and Space Museum, and he did it at a Committee for Dulles luncheon. In fact, there was someone that was in attendance when it was over that donated $1 million to the Air and Space Museum that day.
We have maintained or gained international recognition from markets outside of our country. Most famously is the Frankfurt Airport.
We met with teams from Geneva, Switzerland, who wanted to know how a community organization can help the airport. We also met with teams from Paris, France, about how to connect two airports and citizen engagement and public advocacy to the benefit of the economic development of a nation's capital's airports.
When you look at the airport itself, it's tough to think about 12,000 acres as having a sense of community. It's an awful large area. It's a huge amount of land area, infrastructure, employees, but every event that is held either by the authority, by the airport, or through the committee events, you really get a sense of pride and contribution to the community.
Our events are there to promote and foster the growth of Dulles Airport and to keep the communities aware and educate them on the future economic development of the airport and its environs.
If it's a luncheon, or if it's a gala, or if it's another event, you'll have a significant representation of the various industries in our region, and it gives us an opportunity to share not only what we do, but how we can help them.
I asked the question, is there any way we could leverage this group to help the community? And that's when the Committee for Dulles Community Outreach was born.
Number one priority would be to give scholarships to deserving high school seniors.
Every year we give 15, 20 plus scholarships to students, all who are connected to Dulles Airport.
And then we also supported the Interfaith Chapel and the Travelers Aid organizations at the airport.
100% of the money that we the outreach committee raises goes back to the community.
Whether it's the Community Outreach Scholarship Fund or the Run on the Runway or the Plane Pool, you really get a sense that this is a tight community that supports itself.
The relevance of the Committee for Dulles is more important today than ever because of the growth in international business and the growth in data centers in this area. We have become an even bigger economic engine, and not just the airport, but the services that are around the airport and all of the national and international companies that have headquartered here.
Okay, here we are. We've accomplished so much. What is it that we want to accomplish working with the airport? How do we move forward as a partner with the airport?
The pandemic, in my mind, forced us to be more creative, forced us to be more innovative, and to move forward with the way that we touched the community.
Obviously, with the pandemic over the last 2 years, there's been some erosion in passenger loads, passenger frequency, flights, and what have you. So there's the opportunity to try to continue the path upward to the ultimate capacity of the airport, which I'm told is in the range of 55 million passengers per year.
And as you have more planes, it can impact residential areas to a greater extent. So we are a strong supporter of making sure that our local communities do not enact land use decisions that put people in the flight path of oncoming or departing airplanes. That's something that we try to work on, as well as the ground transportation for access to and from the airport beyond rail.
We still see a continuing role for Committee for Dulles, someone who's looking at the airport and always trying to think, how can this get better? How can we improve Dulles to become part of an even bigger part of the Washington economy?
My expectation is the Committee for Dulles will go on for many years to come.
Good Shepherd Housing really focuses on supporting families within our communities, not only looking at providing housing stability, but also thinking what are their goals. When families don't have stable housing and they're spending each day trying to figure out where is it that we're going to sleep tonight, how is it that I'm going to be able to get to work and get my family to school and all of these different pieces, it doesn't really allow them the opportunity to be able to focus on other areas that might be able to help them achieve self-sufficiency. Good Shepherd Housing made a strategic decision a number of years ago to be able to purchase aggressively housing units themselves. And by owning those housing units, they're able to control the rent associated with them and have been able to keep those rents down and affordable to families, despite the increase in overall housing rates that we've seen over the last few years. The services can really be a lifeline to a family. A lot of the families that come into our housing are coming from a variety of difficult situations. So in addition to be able to providing the stability of housing, the ability to have somebody to go to be able to ask for help who's there focused on you can really make all the difference for some of the families that we've worked with.
I'm originally from PG County, Maryland, born and raised. Currently, I work at Virginia Hospital Center in the admitting department. I have a set of twins, they're 15, and they have a younger sister, she's 13. As of about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I separated from my husband due to just a really abusive relationship. So I left everything, car, house, clothing, belongings behind just to try to provide a better environment for my children. My children stayed with their grandparents for some time while I got myself mentally and emotionally together. My separation from my children was, I would say, maybe around 1.5 years. I felt like I had failed as a parent. It did hurt quite a bit to miss certain things that were going on in their everyday life. It kind of made me feel like I was a missing piece, and they were a missing piece for me. One day I stumbled across Good Shepherd Housing. This happened to be one of the really down days for me, so I think it was really God sent for me to find Good Shepherd. I sent over my application. I got a call within 72 hours, and maybe about 30 days after that, I was actually able to move into my own apartment where I could just provide and have a home for me and my 3 children. The first time I came into my home, and I literally sat in the middle of this floor and I cried. I was so grateful. And it took me a couple of days to kind of realize this is yours. I had never been on my own before. I've never had my own household, to run my own household and have my own space and just be the queen of my own domain. And it felt really good to walk in and see a space that I could call my own for me and my children. Because I control the temperature, I control my own environment now. I can decorate how I want to decorate. I can cook how I want to cook. Me and the kids can watch TV, we can watch movies. So this has definitely been a safe haven. What hasn't Good Shepherd House done for me? I have benefited from backpack drives, back to school drives, Christmas, food banks as well. They assist with schooling. They gave me financial improvement classes, and I keep in contact with a case manager every month. We go over a plan for me to just kind of see where I am. And she helps me reach out for those resources, and I'm so happy to have her and Good Shepherd on my team, because whenever I need something, they are always there for me. And I feel so supported in a way that has just added to my success, and it keeps me motivated, most definitely. I feel so grateful to be a part of the Good Shepherd program.